Congressman Ryan, you are calling on Congress to cancel the August recess to address gun violence. But how realistic is that? Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, it's time to put public pressure on Mitch McConnell. I'm suspending my campaign for the presidency. I'm going to head back to Ohio, and we need leadership right now. And enough is enough is enough is enough. I mean, you watch these videos, and you see in the background, and you see Walmart in the background, or you see a church in the background, and no one feels safe anymore. And there is a bottleneck in the United States Senate with Mitch McConnell. We passed in the House of Representatives a few weeks back background checks, a basic step that 90% of the American people support, and the Republicans need to, quite frankly, get their shit together and stop pandering to the NRA because people are getting killed. All those people we saw, and you've been doing this all day long, they had hopes and dreams. They had plans this week. They were going to do things. They were going to meet with their friends. They were going to meet with their family. They were going to go to church. And now they're gone because in this country, we're so dysfunctional that we can't do basic things. And it's got to stop. And we have to put pressure on Mitch McConnell to start with the background check bill. We need an assault weapons ban. We need to study this as a public health crisis that it is. I'll just tell you quickly, I was in Nevada yesterday. Huge shooting in Nevada. How many months back at the concert? I come to campaign in South Carolina, Emmanuel Baptist Church. Now I'm going to go back to Ohio. It's Dayton. It was Chardon. You go to New England and you have Sandy Hook. I mean, this is happening everywhere.
So, Congressman, let me get your thoughts on, without this or with the August recess, if that does in fact happen, where else do you see shortcomings in our federal system in addressing these types of crimes? It's not just about guns. When you hear what we just heard coming out of the news conference, domestic terrorism statutes are not necessarily, as tight as they are when it comes to international terrorism. We don't do a good job with monitoring online radicalization when it comes to white nationalists and domestic terrorism. Where do you see shortcomings that can be addressed besides or beyond the gun issue?
Well, here's what a functioning democracy would do. We would get your analysts on all day talking about the inadequacies of trying to monitor this, and we would have public hearings with the United States Congress, learning as much as we can about what we need to do in a bipartisan way with some common sense reforms, yes, around guns, but also around these other opportunities that may be out there to strengthen our ability to prevent this. And then most importantly, so on all the issues, go through the process, learn, and then act. But the culture right now is the problem. I mean, when you read that manifesto, there were quotes in there that could have come out of a Donald Trump rally. And when you have the president talk about send them back, and people are chanting send them back, and this jackass drives 10 hours to go shoot Mexicans, that's a cultural problem that the president is throwing jet fuel on, making matters worse. So yes, you need laws, but presidents are the cultural leaders of the country, whether you like it or not, and they can inspire us to reach for the stars and go to the moon, or they can create an atmosphere of get the hell out of here and go back to where you came from.
I want to talk about what you said about the cultural leadership and this issue, as you called it, of pandering. We're talking now about white supremacy, white terror, and white nationalism. And you and other candidates have talked about the deadly effects of this racism. But what is the solution to stop it beyond something that is just cultural? How do we stop it in policy?
Well, I mean, a lot of this stuff, obviously, policy-wise, you got the hate crimes bill and all of these legislation, all of these things, they're important, but you can't discount the rhetoric that comes from the White House, and then the enabling that comes from the Republicans all across the country. And I'm not just talking about on legislative acts. It's like when the president made the comments about good people on both sides in Charlottesville. How many Republicans really stood up and said what was on their heart, in their heart and in their minds? Not many, hardly any. I mean, and so the president just kept going, and he kept going and kept going until you literally have a crowd full, arena full of people saying, you know, send her back. And that is what's missing now. Republicans that have got to tap into their values, their conscience, their religion. You know, a lot of these people parade themselves around, you know, loving Jesus and being good Christians and Judeo-Christian values. We need you to step up and speak what's in your heart, not what's in your political mind that wants you to not have Donald Trump mad at you. And that's how you begin to shift the culture. That's where you begin to find some common ground so you can get to some higher ground.
Sir, what are your constituents telling you when you go back to your district in terms of what they want the federal government to do on a whole host of these issues that you brought up?
Basic stuff. Do the universal background check. That's supported by 80 to 90% of the people in the country. Right? Why do we need these weapons of war where you're killing 9 people in under a minute? And we're sitting there saying, oh my God, thank God for the law enforcement, and they did a phenomenal job, and they got there, but 9 people were killed in under a minute. Like, we don't need those kind of weapons on the streets in the United States. And so my people hunt. It's part of our culture. We take our kids hunting. But we are for